What's up, everybody? We are back on Clear the Cash. I'm Nate Liss. You can find me on Twitter at @OutragedJew, and with me is Jesse Bak. You can find him on Twitter at @planet_fatness. Still going with it. I appreciate it. Stick-to-itiveness is what my father would call that. So once again, this is going to be a slightly condensed episode. One of these days when we align the schedules, we'll be able to rock out a really solid episode with a lot of meat in it. But this week we've got some Patreon questions, a lot of good questions, in fact. Someone definitely took advantage of the ability to ask questions in the post. So shout out to Rory for that. And Jesse brought a couple things to my attention pre-show. So we want to bring those up on the show as well. And I'm going to start right off the top here. You informed me of something that took place with the QB1 of the NFL, that is Patrick Mahomes. I would love to say Russell Wilson, but no, it's not Russell Wilson. He had multiple weeks where he let me down, let Seattle down. Defense let us down. Patrick Mahomes, IG post. It is a picture of him holding what looks to be a Travis Kelce rookie card. Tell me what we should take from this IG post.
So, Adam Lefkoe, this is essentially a repost of a Patrick Mahomes Instagram story that was posted by Adam Lefkoe. So, Adam Lefkoe, he's pretty good friends with Patrick Mahomes. He's interviewed him countless times on his podcast. So, kind of the backstory is, Adam Lefkoe, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, he was interviewing Travis Kelce about I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes of that interview was dedicated solely on his Topps Chrome rookie card. So Adam Lefkoe is another big media personality that's into the card game right now. So he was talking to Travis Kelce about his Topps Chrome rookie card, and if you haven't seen it, or if you haven't seen it listed anywhere on eBay, definitely look it up, because it's a really silly picture of Mahomes kind of just making like a weird mouthing motion while pretending to catch a football. It's really awkward. It's like one of the most awkward rookie cards I've ever seen. And he's kind of confronting Travis Kelce about it. And he's like, "What the hell happened? To make what did the guy behind the camera say to make you do something as ridiculous as this?" So he's kind of going through the interview. He's like, "Oh yeah, just kind of pretend you're catching the football and just just kind of make an mouthing motion." And he's like, "Yeah, this is he's like, I never want to see this card. I'm ashamed that it's around. When people," he's like, "when little kids ask for my autograph on their card, that's always the card they bring out." And I'm always like, "Dude, seriously, you had to bring that card?" So Patrick Mahomes put out on his Instagram story, "Been waiting on this thing for weeks. Thank you, at Adam Lefkoe." And it's a picture of him holding the Topps Chrome Travis Kelce rookie card. And first of all, it's blasphemous that Adam Lefkoe waited weeks before sending anything to Patrick Mahomes. I would have priority shipped it immediately. Anyway, but I mean, I'm guessing it's kind of an inside joke with him and Kelce, and they're obviously really good friends and they play on the same team. But he mentioned it as Mahomes mentioned this card as a personal collection card. A personal collection card means he has a card collection. So it's not something that I've seen too popularly talked about in the NFL. Football cards are, in my opinion, they're probably going to be undervalued for some time, because basketball and baseball have been kings of the hobby for decades. But it's really cool to see a professional athlete at Mahomes' level have a football card collection. And I mean, it might not just be football, it might be basketball, whatever. But this isn't the first time we've seen big athletes like Mahomes advertise anything on social media for sports cards. For example, back in August, LeBron's Upper Deck Exquisite rookie patch auto, numbered at a 23. That's a BGS 9.5, sold. I think it was a golden auction sale. It sold for like $1.8 million. I don't know. Honestly might be the only BGS 9.5 graded card of that exquisite. So LeBron commented on the post saying that, "Oh yeah, I have a couple of these myself too." So LeBron is actually betting on himself. Like that's kind of like a swag move. Also, it's financially responsible given how much his cards have accumulated in value since his rookie year. And it's not just LeBron, it's um, Giannis has posted on Instagram a couple times, whether via story or an IG post, that he has his own basketball collection of his own cards and other cards. There was another story. I can't remember who it was, but I think he's a big sports agent that's also into sports cards. I think he spent like I can't remember. I think it was like a fundraiser that KD was running, like maybe 10 years ago, and they were giving out sports cards to a bunch of kids in this giveaway. It was like a basketball camp or something. And I think for like all the packs that they were going to give out to the kids, they ripped themselves, like KD and the sports agent ripped the cards themselves. And that really got KD into basketball cards too. And yeah, so KD's been in it. There's other athletes too, and maybe not as big markets. Like I don't know how familiar you are with the MLB. Josh Donaldson, all-star third baseman, slugging third baseman. He has an absurd collection that's got to be worth millions of dollars. And he's like a true card collector at heart. He posts about it regularly on his Instagram. Also, Scott Gomez, he was a big hockey player when I was following the NHL. He has a pretty big hockey and general card collection. So it's really refreshing to see that there are so many athletes out there that are just as passionate about this and have collections just like the rest of us. So it's just, especially with somebody like Mahomes, it was just refreshing to see
Well,
something
it's
like
such
that.
influence too. I mean, if you think that Gary Vee can move the market, and he can because he says profound, prescient things, and action happens almost instantaneously. But you get these athletes, and they start advertising that they have cards, LeBron, Patrick Mahomes, these other guys. And suddenly you get a bunch of young kids that want to get involved in it too. And to Patrick Mahomes' credit, he's only 25 years old. So he's hardly removed from the days of card collecting as it was. I mean, I'm quite a bit, outside the realm of the days of when I once collected cards, but I found myself getting back into it. I mean, just like you said with KD, like ripping the packs, like there's nothing more fun if you never have. And I imagine if you listen to this podcast, you have. But if you've never ripped a pack of cards, it is one of the more exhilarating things you can do with $5 or $8 or whatever it is. Like it,
$100
$100.
today for
Yeah.
NBA Prism.
Yeah, and that's the thing. These
Yeah.
these NBA Prism cards, I keep getting tweeted at, and people are like, "Hey, what do you think about this collegiate NBA Prism, rookie card?" And in my mind, I'm like, it's all hype right now. Like they're just trying to shovel product out as fast as they can because the NBA draft just happened. You've got preseason happening. The regular season kicks off soon. So they're trying to flip these cards. And I'm almost sure if we went and like Google Anthony Edwards rookie card, like we would be shocked at how much they're probably going for. And we don't even know if he's going to be good yet, right?
Oh yeah, he's like we were talking about. Any top 3 or top 5 pick in the NBA, unless if they have like LeBron level hype or like Zion, but even to an extent, he's kind of a project. Like all these guys are projects. Like you and I were talking about, you were saying how in the NFL, like if you select a guy at number 3, just like LaMelo Ball was selected at number 3, he's a sure thing. He's as close to a sure thing as possible. But in the NBA, unfortunately, it's best to wait and kind of let the rookies play out for themselves, and as the season progresses, you can kind of see how they're doing and if they can successfully transition from college to the pros. So yeah, I mean he's a pro. He looked good in their first preseason game, but I mean a lot of these guys are projects
Oh
just to
my
start
gosh.
out.
I'm looking right now. I'm seeing some Anthony Edwards Prism draft pick gold, numbered out of 10, went for about $1,000.
God.
There's the. Have you seen the color blast? The Prism color blasts?
I think I've seen them. Have they been in? I wouldn't be surprised if they've been in
Yeah,
previous sets. I don't think I've seen
I
this
think they
year's though.
have. This one went for 2,500. I mean, he sold tons of cards for 300-400 with an auto. Oh boy, yeah. So I mean, the hype is built. This is where we're at right now, and yeah, so you brought up LaMelo Ball. I mean, it's a perfect example of a guy that is a total project, and his cards. He's getting so much buzz. I mean, media buzz, analyst buzz. Professional players around the league are talking about him. Saying, "Hey, this guy, he looks really good. He's got court vision." Not really a great shooter yet, but nonetheless, that's all it takes to sort of get people hyped on these players, and they go and buy these collegiate cards, and it's like we've talked about it to ad nauseum at this point. Like, I'm avoiding it, especially right now. It's one thing to buy an inexpensive collegiate rookie card, a year after it's come out. It's another thing to buy it right now when did they come out? Did they come out like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, it wasn't long ago at all. It's going to be sometime before actual NBA Prism comes out. So Panini smartly, they just try to get something out before. I mean, they do this every year, but yeah, the set's not. It's not.
And I was looking. I think it's March is when the Prism set comes out. So I mean, that's what we're all holding on for, anyways, right? Like, I mean, and Jesse's got some sleeper names to go with if you're looking to get some NBA rookies and save yourself a little cash and avoid a top 5, top 10 pick. He might have a name to drop for you if you DM him. If you're looking for that sort of thing, you got to wait till March, and they're going to be impossible to get a hold of. So, I mean, I don't know how we're going to get. I mean, what's a box of Prism going to go for? Like, what are they retail for NFL?
For NFL, I think on Panini's website, they do what's called a Dutch auction. So they'll decrease. How Dutch auctions work is they'll decrease the price little by little every so often until they inevitably sell out. So first off the line Prism box straight off Panini's website, I think they sold out around like $1,100.
That's so ridiculous.
And you need to pull some fire to pay that box off. Like, honestly, you could probably get a serial numbered card of a good player, and you'll pay, if you sell it today, you'll probably pay half the box back. Like, it now is not the time to get a product like that.
I mean, well, look, it's back here. I still haven't ripped it. I've got this select box, which this is 7 years ago, which still has fire in it. 7 years ago, going for, what, 1/8 of the cost of a Prism box? I mean,
yeah, it's wild. That box you can get for, I think on eBay, it's readily available for like $150.
So crazy to me that you can buy boxes that are older. I mean, of course, it's got so many good players in it too. I mean, I'm afraid to open it. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, the rookie class that year, so the reason why the box is so cheap, I'm going to be honest, is because the quarterbacks that year didn't really hit, unfortunately. But at the same time, you have a Hall of Fame wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins who's in that set. You have an undervalued player like Keenan Allen who's in that set. You can pull a Travis Kelce. There's a decent, a non-zero chance you can pull a Travis Kelce select Prism Silver in that box. And even Tom Brady cards, like Brady's market is just out of this world. Like, even those cards are valuable. So you have, I think that box is more than worth $150.
Yeah, I mean, that seems easy to pay back. Conversely to the Prism box, it's $1,000, and yeah, you do have to pull something. The advantage to the new boxes are that you're going to have all this hype, like all the current hype. There's not a lot of hype currently on this, unless you pull out the card that you're saying is the desirable card, in which case you will still be able to sell it. So Gary V, another tweet comes out, and this raised some questions amongst friends of mine. They're asking the question, Jesse, is Gary V trying to manipulate the market? You've mentioned in the past you don't believe so. His tweet, which is a bit ambiguous, and as I read it before, it was a little difficult to deconstruct, but it basically says, most underrated sports cards in the market right now, question mark, based on its value and your belief that due to the supply and demand, it's going to be dramatically higher in the future, not based on the player's performance, based on what he or she has already accomplished. So when you hear that, what do you feel like is the root of this question?
So what Gary Vee has done, I guess earlier in the pandemic, I've noticed this a lot more than he does it now, but I don't think he's trying to manipulate the market. What I think he's trying to do is I think he wants to know what a lot of common folk or common NBA fans or sports fans, I think he wants to know who they're high on. And whether it be cards, even just like being a fan of that player or that team. Um, I think he wants to know who everyone's high on, and he definitely does a lot of research to see where there is value in that player's market. So what he would do before is he would just put out a random poll, a random NBA poll, and it would just say like top 5 power forwards in the NBA, go. Like, and people would just name off their top 5 current best power forwards. And he, like, it wouldn't just be basketball too. It would be football. Like he would put out a poll saying name, like he would pick 5 different running backs, like all-time great running backs. It would be like Walter Payton, LaDainian Tomlinson, Jim Brown, and like 2 other guys. And he'd be like, who's your favorite running back and why? Or who do you think is the best out of these guys and why? So he listens to a lot of people's opinions, people who aren't experts, they're just fans. But he's kind of getting an idea of who everyone is high on and if there are any market inefficiencies and values in that player's market or that era's market, if he's talking like vintage football or something. So I don't think he's manipulating the market at all. I think he's, if anything, he's probably just trying to educate himself more or give him more room to research on something that could potentially be
No, I
undervalued.
think you're right. I think there's a ton of value in polling, the consumers, the people that are buying the cards themselves, getting ahead of it, going, okay, who do you guys think it is? And essentially, you're getting data, right? You're getting data from this. You get, if 65% of the people are saying Allen Iverson rookie cards, then that very well could be the next market. That could be the next thing to go. And I know you've been talking to me in private. You're very much on the AI rookie. Being on the East Coast there, Pennsylvania guy, it makes sense that you would be a big fan. So I do agree. I don't know that there's any market manipulation here, as you've mentioned in the past. This guy is independently wealthy, has multiple businesses, is involved in tons of different things. I really don't think it's a money thing with him. For a guy that puts as much time back into the community, working with people, trying to help them solve problems, make themselves better, it doesn't make a lot of sense that he would try to move the market over, 50 grand in cards. It's not big enough.
This guy gets paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to do like an hour talk or like a 2-hour talk or something. Like, I don't think, like I was telling you pre-show, if a bunch of his cards go to $0 in value, it's not going to hurt him significantly financially. Yeah. So I don't think he has a lot to gain in this aspect
I
financially.
wanted to roll to the next topic, Jesse, but I just pasted something in the show sheet. Can you explain to me what it is that I am looking at right here?
I believe it is it looks to me like it's a photoshopped image of a National Treasures rookie patch auto with with a patch of Pikachu. That's serial numbered 4 out of 5 with Pikachu's signature. I don't know exactly how Pikachu can have a patch. I don't know if that's like a part of his skin or fur or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's very clearly probably an NBA National Treasures RPA that is that's Photoshop with
I mean,
Pikachu
I gotta be honest
on
with you,
there.
man. I'm so naive that I was like, maybe they do this. Like, why wouldn't they do it, right? Like, I mean, an RPA does seem like the next level for the Pokemon card. So you think your contention is this is a Photoshop?
This is a Photoshop card, but if this was real, the Pokemon community would go absolutely nuts, and they would. I don't even know what this card would be put up
Why
to.
haven't they done this yet, right? Like, this is a moneymaker. I gotta.
Dude, if Panini and Pokemon ever like team up, oh my
Yeah.
God, their RPAs are gonna
I
come
gotta
out
make
left and
sure
right.
that I save this card so I can put it in a post or something. This is just actually, you know what? I'm gonna retweet it right now and write what the question mark. Okay, so we had some patron questions, Jesse, and I wanted to touch on some of these. We got, like I said, Rory took big time advantage of posting some questions in there, and we had Josh as well. Let's start with Rory's first one. Rory says, I'm having trouble figuring out how to prioritize my targets between national treasures, flawless, immaculate, and impeccables. These are some gorgeous cards. Our autos on these lines always on card. Some of the stickers out there are really tough to spot. Am I tracking, thinking it's flawless, then national treasure, then impeccable, then immaculate?
So I think it's going to be really tough to knock off National Treasures. I think, especially because National Treasures has been around for so long. Like it used to, back when Panini took over the whole football and basketball markets, National Treasures used to be under. There was a set called Playoff, and it's still around. Like you see Contenders Playoff autos under Panini. So I think National Treasures has the name recognition to continue to be the most expensive set in probably all of modern day cards right now. So I would put National Treasures up at the top. Um, I don't think Flawless is that far behind. What's really cool about Flawless is I don't think it's with all of their RPAs, but they have a good amount of RPAs that are game used. The patches are game used. Um, I believe they're the only Panini set that actually has game used patches on there. I mean, there might be like some like smaller number like serial numbered cards of other sets that might have game worn patches, but Flawless is the only one where it's actually commonplace. And for me personally, and I've talked to other collectors, and we basically see game worn patches be a lot more valuable to us intrinsically than just a patch that maybe the player wore at an event, like a signing event or something, or like at a practice or something. Um, so I would still put National Treasures first, Flawless after, then probably Immaculate and Impeccable. I don't know if they're quite on the level of those other three, but they're a pretty good set. They're pretty up there. Our autos on these lines always on card. For a majority of them, yes. I think for maybe bigger name guys or guys that have been retired for quite some time, like Penny Hardaway or AI, like I've seen them sign stickers and they put those on National Treasures and those other sets. I agree it is tough to spot stickers as opposed to on card autos, but you can generally see that there's some sort of an outline or a shine. Like if you see some sort of a rectangular outline around the auto, or just kind of like line, like very like they're very tough to tell that they're there, but you can tell that they're there if you look carefully. Like sometimes there will be kind of like awkward lines going through the auto, usually that's a sign that it's not an on-card auto and the player just signed a sticker.
And I had read somewhere that the Immaculate series didn't have a lot of parallels, and that was something that some people liked about that in particular, that it was a lot more exclusive. There wasn't a whole lot of like extras to it. So I don't know if that plays a factor for people, but when you're talking about the game worn, that just adds a level of exclusivity, right, to it, that it just makes it a little more rare.
Absolutely. When I was a kid and I was like a hardcore collector, I didn't really care about the value of anything because I'm a kid. Um, I I did I didn't even really care that much about auto cards. I mean, it's like amazing if you pull one out, but I think back when I was a kid, I was like a huge patch collector. Like if I got a jersey card in a box or a pack, like that was like the most important thing to me because a lot of those cards back then had game worn patches. The rookie cards were a lot tougher to find then than they are now. So a lot of them would be like veteran player patches. Like I remember I think like I pulled an Edgerrin James Arizona Cardinals patch card and I lost my shit as like a 11-year-old pulling that card. Um, but yeah, I mean, a lot of those patches were game worn, and I had a big thing about like actually feeling the patch as soon as I pulled it out of the pack. So even like to this day, I don't know if it's like nostalgia or maybe I just still find the game worn patches more valuable. But I mean, I still personally find them more valuable than just an event
I'm
worn
sure you're
patch.
right too, and I'm sure that we could pull the data to validate that this is completely accurate versus just event worn jerseys or patch or whatever. But okay, let's go to the next question here. So Josh McAddy, and I hope I said that right. I'm assuming I said that right. I think you believe that I said that right. McAdee,
McCaddy,
yeah,
McAtee.
McAtee. I see. Now I don't know if it's the second one. We're gonna find out though. He's gonna message us and told us we said it wrong. So how do you approach breaks? Do you target teams based on price point or target based on cards in the set? How do you identify teams that are undervalued in breaks? What do you do there?
This is kind of a tougher question for me personally. I'm going to be honest, just because I haven't participated in too many breaks myself. But I'll answer it as if if I were to participate in a break, I think it's a combo of the two. So if you're really looking to hit a home run in a break, do yourself a favor and look at the checklist of that set. You can Google this. They have a lot of this information on like there's a forum called Blowout Cards. There's plenty of card forums out there. If there isn't like a laid out checklist, you'll find plenty of information on what's out there. So you can, that way you can potentially pull something that, you know, like some crazy low serial number card if you're looking at like a 2019 box. So I guess probably it would be of Zion or Ja. Um, Targeting teams, you could definitely target teams like especially like right out the gate. The If we take a look at the 2019 class, the hype behind Zion was like unreal, and then like nobody even sniffed like Zion's prices. It was crazy. Like he's been one of the most hyped NBA rookies since maybe LeBron, and Ja was kind of a tier below him. So if there's somebody kind of like I don't know, playing second fiddle and there you see a big price difference between those two teams, I definitely go with a guy that's playing second fiddle. If you just want to like hit a home run with a break, I wouldn't even care how much like a Pelicans break would cost last year. I would just buy the Pelicans. I'd buy the Pelicans team every time in a break, just for the chance of hitting a Zion with the amount of hype that was there behind him. And if you buy into like a more expensive set that's like one of the sets that we talked about, like a National Treasures or Immaculate, I don't care. Like I'm just happy to
Yeah.
get into the break. So I'm willing to pay like as long as the price is reasonable, I honestly don't care what team I get. So if
And
it's more
that's what you and
expensive.
I talked about. And I think at some point here soon, Jesse and I are going to, combine forces and jump into a break in one of these high end sets. Hopefully we can get into like a National Treasure set or, I mean, that would be amazing to end up in one of those. I
That would be
don't
sick.
know what this is going to
Yep.
cost, but we're going to do it no matter what. We're going to jump in. As far as the breaks are concerned, they're really interesting and I think different than NBA. When you hit in NBA, you can hit incredibly high. And I would have to look at what some of these prices are currently. Like in most of the NFL breaks, if you pull, let's say the Bengals, right? Because they had T. Higgins, they had Joe Burrow, clearly the quarterback's most valuable card. They were going for, I think in a lot of cases, they were between like 40 and 55 maybe for the Bengals in a lot of these sets. If you get a Joe Burrow rookie, it can have a lot of value. But like you said, if you hit on a good Zion card last year, a Ja Morant, like even if they're doing breaks on older sets today, like if you were to hit on one of these, it's such a significant jump from hitting on T. Higgins or Burrow. Like I mean, it's still so high. So for NBA, I would be more willing to jump on the obvious teams. Where with football, I mean, I don't know. I've done a couple breaks where, a lot of breaks for people that haven't done them. Oftentimes, the person that's doing the deal will throw in free shipping if you buy two teams or spend more than $40, the equivalent. So, I've had breaks where I took like the Chiefs and I took the Jets at $5, hoping that, maybe I'd hit a rare Darnold or a Denzel Mims or a, whatever. So sometimes you can play that way too. There are some less expensive teams. I mean, I don't know how cheap they go in NBA when like the Prism set comes out here in the future, but getting the Jets for $5 and the off chance that Denzel Mims is a good player is still a fun play. It's not much money. And oftentimes in the breaks, you'll push yourself into free shipping, which is nice too. You don't tack on extra cost. Rory, back with another question. Is it always the case that a card is dated a player's rookie year is in fact a rookie card? Like I said, beginner level stuff here. No, Rory, these are really good questions, to be honest with you. This one in particular, actually, there's some nuance here.
For sure. So the two sets that I can think of where this isn't exactly intuitive is the 1986 Fleer set and the 2012 Prism set. So I believe 1986 was the first year that Fleer basketball was released. Michael Jordan's rookie year was either 84 or 85. I want to say it was 85. And his so he didn't have too many big rookie cards at the time. Like the only cards I can think of are the 1985 Star. There's a really cool Nike promo card that you guys should definitely check out from 1985, and missing one. The 1985 Interleague. That's like the number one card on my bucket list that I want at some point. Um, but so 1986 was Fleer was like the big new basketball set that was around. So a lot of people consider the 1986 Fleer set Michael Jordan's rookie card, and as well as I mentioned 2012 Prism as well. I think the nuance about that is, remember, 2011 there was a lockout to start for the NBA season. I can't even remember if they played any games or they just played like a 40-game season or something. But the 2011 class was stacked as it was, but because of the lockout, there were no cards or hardly any cards that were released for basketball. So the 2011 class was kind of merged with the 2012 class that was also stacked. So in 2012 Prism and Select, you have the best of both worlds in both classes. Like those classes are stacked. You have like Kawhi, Anthony Davis, Damian Lillard, Klay Thompson, Draymond. You have, oh my God, you have so many superstars in that class. It's not even funny. But 2012 Prism and 2012 Select are actually considered those guys' rookie year cards, even though some of these guys were drafted in 2011. So those are just kind of some interesting nuances, and just I mean, there's probably no relationship, but it just happens. It's just funny how valuable 2012 Prism has gotten. It's the most iconic Prism set of like in all in all the years that Prism has been around. And same thing with 1986 and Fleer, and that not being technically Michael Jordan's rookie card, but a lot of people view it as that.
Yeah, and you have to be discerning. One thing that I have found on eBay, there are some people out there that pull some sneaky stuff and they lead you to believe that cards are rookies, and they're not. I've seen it in the title before, and it's not a rookie card. It might have the RC in the title, but it's without a doubt not a rookie card. I think I've sent you some links before. Like I was looking at, maybe it was like a Trae Young, and I was just shocked at how inexpensive it was. It was like a select white or something, and I'm like, why is this thing only like $290 if it's a Trae Young select and it's a white and it's like a rare card? And then I pay more attention and it's a year later, or whatever. And sometimes guys are, because there's just like, why would I list a non-serial card like X amount of years after the guy's rookie year? Like, what would be the purpose of listing this card at all? I don't want it. Like, I don't want a Trae Young card in his 4th year in the league, not there yet. But like, you know what I mean? Like, but somebody's going to list that card. And then if you're not discerning, like, you might end up pulling the trigger, overly expensive on a card that's like nobody cares about. Like, I'm glad I didn't buy that card. Good Lord. Anyways, that's a, yeah.
Just I'm sorry to jump in. The only thing is, if a guy is either really hyped or is like a freaking superstar, second year cards will usually gain value over time. But I don't know, with somebody like Trey, he's already hyped up as it is, so I'd probably want to stay away from his second year stuff now. But like I've had friends who have pulled 2019 Luca cards and they want to hold on to them because they're convinced that he's going to go up in value. And they're I honestly, second year cards, as long as the player turns into a superstar, people get priced out of a bunch of rookie year sets for that player, and eventually they'll gravitate to the second year stuff. So if it's a guy, if it's a player like LeBron, or if Luka turns out to be as good as everyone thinks he is, or even somebody like Giannis, like 2014 Prism Giannis, like that's still like a 4-figure card in a PSA 10. Those cards can definitely
I
accumulate
mean, I'm looking at a Luka right now, 2019 PSA 10 Prism, $131, 20 bids. So
how much time is
22
left?
hours.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
that's definitely an avenue. If you want a PSA 10 Luka and you're priced out of his 2018 Prism, like a lot of people are, it's a way to go.
I mean, I guess it seems I can't tell if it's stubborn, like you're trying to avoid the hoops card or something by going to.
That's true. Yeah, I that's actually an interesting question. Like what from an ROI perspective can gain more value? Is it the 2018 hoops or is it the 2019 Prism? That's a good question. I mean, it's honestly a good question. I don't know the answer to that. They're probably close. They're probably close enough, which is why I'm asking the question. But I mean, it's a way to pivot for
I
sure.
mean, it's God, it's such a strange thing because you're like, well, I hate hoops so much that I'm actually going to go a year after the guy's rookie card to buy that card. I don't know. I'd have to look and see what those hoops cards are selling for, but anything with Luka's name on it right now is just like absolute fire. Yeah, I will never afford a Luka Doncic rookie. Not yet. I'm gonna have to consolidate some things to work my way up there. You've owned a couple at once, so
I've sold all but one. The price is a little too rich for me right now. It feels like, I don't know. It feels like I'm playing hot potato, and I don't want to. I don't know.
I mean, I'm gonna coax this out of you because you've said something to me that I think in the card world, if you were Gary V, it would shake things up. Your opinion on Zion and the value of his cards. What do you think? Are you buying or are you selling?
I'm definitely not buying. I mean, he could be good, but I've mentioned to you before, I don't know, just the weight issues. The weight issues don't jive well with me. And you could see it in the bubble too, a couple months ago. Like his conditioning was total crap. I mean, he had family issues going on too, so he probably had a lot on his mind. Like I know he joined the team a lot later than everyone else, but yeah, I don't know. I see a lot of red flags. His ceiling can be high, but I think from a long term perspective, I mentioned to you, like this guy could be Sean Kemp. I mean, and Sean Kemp was electric back in like the early 90s, early
Sure.
mid 90s. But I don't know. Like I don't feel comfortable paying those prices for a guy who
So
could be
here's a
Sean
question
Kemp.
for you then. So Sean Kemp was electric, and Sean Kemp was iconic for a short period of time, right? I mean, he had the shoe market. He was popular amongst the kids. Everybody had the Rain Man poster of Sean Kemp. So Zion may statistically not put up elite numbers, even though he's still currently a 22-6 guy, but iconically, if he becomes this explosive dunker and this fan favorite, it seems like there's still a way that he can get there without putting up the numbers that maybe people thought. But I think to your point, you're saying that his ceiling isn't necessarily, some people were claiming LeBron James when he was coming into the league. And that's I mean, he's going to have to grow a lot over time. LeBron wasn't the player he was today when he came into the league. Clearly, he's evolved a ton. But they're two very different players. Athletically, there may be similarities there. Size-wise, yeah, like you said, he's 280 pounds at 6'6".
He's a big boy. He's big. You can see it.
I was
Yeah.
fortunate enough. A buddy of mine had courtside seats at the Blazers game, and he took me along. I rode sidecar.
I think I
Yeah, yeah,
saw
yeah.
this. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I went and saw the Pelicans play the Blazers, and Zion has one of the craziest styles of basketball you've ever seen because he lulls defenders to sleep. He looks like he moves like a sloth. I swear to God, if you've never, I mean, clearly you have, but if you've never seen him play, you really should watch because it seems like he's a sloth, but then he's one of the more explosive players I've ever seen. I mean, it's pretty tantalizing to see because you can watch the Blazers defenders and he's just kind of like lulling them, and then he blows by people, and you're like, what is this thing? Is this cyborg? It's just a wild talent. So I mean, it's the same guy that blew his shoe up, you know?
The video that you posted of him dunking was like he has hops. Like this dude, oh my God, he can be electric. It's just a matter of him like putting it all together, like probably mentally and physically,
I
clearly.
mean, I think again, if you were fortunate enough to get a hold of a Zion card that was of value, it's probably a great time to move on from him here. Throughout some point in this year, he will certainly peak. His value will go up from where it's at today, right? I mean, we haven't even started the season yet, so the buzz could build again. But these guys I mean, he was billed to be a great player, and Ja Morant, like. I'm still trying to get a Ja Morant card. The Ja Morant cards are topping out right now. I think you can get a Prism PSA 10 for about 450, 460, which I mean that seems about right.
You could pivot to his select
Yeah.
rookies to PSA 10s for two
I
to
saw a
250.
select go for it had 30 minutes left on the bid. It was like $825. I think it was a select white or something. But I mean, yeah, it's not
Okay.
just the pure and it's certainly not a silver. So yeah, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, listen. Everybody's like, I thought you guys were going to talk football. All right, and then one last question here from Rory. We've talked about this a little bit. What is your strategy bidding in auctions? Walk your bid up as the auction progresses, or stay out of the fray until the last moments. I'm taking heavy losses from snipers out there.
I've been successful sniping in the past. I still do it, but if I really want the card and I feel comfortable and I feel it's undervalued and it will go up over time, one of the strategies that I try to use is I will, at the very least, as the auction is dwindling down, I will find what I'll slowly bid up and I'll find what the highest bidder's max price is. So I'll bid up right to that dollar value. Um, and you can strategically kind of do this too. Like if if there's a bidder that's trying to be cute and for I don't know, like for any given card, he puts up like $181 or something. You can bid up to $180, and I think after a certain increment, eBay will automatically increase the bids by $2.50. So if you bid up to 180 and the guy's max bid is 181, it'll go to 181. So you'll see like that if you kind of if you're smart about it and if you put up the bids over time incrementally, you can figure out what the max bid is. And once you have that in mind, that's when you can kind of, I guess, you can consider it sniping. You can snipe at the end and put down whatever price you're comfortable with. Like if you're comfortable with paying $210, 220 bucks on that card that is at $181 with, a couple minutes or even a couple seconds left, that's definitely something that I try to do, and I do it often
I've
myself.
lost a ton of bids. I mean, I've tried to win cards. I do play more conservatively though. I feel like a lot of the cards, you've been looking at cards recently that are more rare, and I think when the card's rare, you're at a risk of missing out. If you know that it's a value, you're at a risk of missing out on a card that may not come back around for a while. When we're talking about, again, Ja Morant, when we're talking about some of these rookies, Justin Jefferson in these classes or whatever, there are so many of these cards available that I'm not going to run it up on one of these cards when I know I can get another one. I'm willing to do what you're saying if I know it's a card that just it's difficult to get a hold of. I'll push it, no problem. But for these other ones, I do like to play the sniping game when there's a lot of the cards out there, because I'll just kind of hang, wait till the very end, and then just try to take a shot with like 10 seconds left. It has failed me before. I will say, the times that it does fail me, I'm on like 2G, which I have no idea how that's even possible. Like, are we on the 5G? Are we on LTE 5G Z1? What are we on? What is the provider out there now?
Is there a six serious question? Is there a 6G out right now? I don't know the
I
answer
really
to
don't
that.
know.
I don't
I
know.
My phone is perpetually on 2G. Like I've got 1.5 bars, and that's the thing that kills me. Like I've been driving, and I hand my wife the phone. Never text and drive. I hand my wife the phone, and I'm like, bid this much on it, and she'll hit the button, and I'm like, what happened? Did we win the bid? There's like 10 seconds left. She's like, it's still loading. I'm like, what do you mean it's still loading? She's like, well, I don't know. It's still loading. I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, every time I let you do this, I lose the bid. I don't win when you do it. And I'm like, I blame it on her, but I know that I live in this area where there's no reception. I got to stop bidding on the phone. Don't do it on a phone. Do it on a computer if you can, unless you're on Wi-Fi. But to the point, if it's a card that I think is going to escape me and it's a very rare card, I'm going to bid up on it, like you said, because I want to win that card. And again, that's not collegiate cards. I'm staying off the collegiate cards, for God's sake. Save your money. And we talked about this. This was something we were maybe going to add to the show. A lot of people are buying these, the collegiate Justin Jefferson rookies. Somebody tweeted one at me and you today, and got it for like $12. No big deal. Fine card for $12. But we looked last week, and Justin Jefferson cards were going for like $500. Here's the thing. You can get that card in the offseason for probably less than it's going for after the guy just put up 4 150-yard games in a row. Like, this is not the time to be buying Justin Jefferson cards. You know what I mean? Like, there's a window. The card's not going anywhere. Like, in 2021, those cards don't dissolve like the picture from Back to the Future. They don't just like erode into dust. They will be there on eBay. So you have to pick your spots. I think you had brought up about the playoffs and card collecting. You want to jump in on that?
For sure. So if you are looking, this is more if you're looking for a quick flip. Um, so the playoffs, there's usually a lot of movement with card prices, and especially for the guys that are actually playing, because if given player's team didn't make the playoffs, usually that player's prices will then drop. But that's another discussion. So the biggest profit margin from a percentage perspective could be from putting money on guys who are getting slept on, or whose teams are getting slept on in the playoffs, but who you believe can potentially make a deep playoff run. One guy that comes to mind to me from last year, although the card market, it was hot, but it's not as hot as it is right now, is somebody like Ryan Tannehill. So the Vikings were, I believe, the 6th seed in the AFC. They beat New England, which is already a big deal. New England was favored. They weren't, the same team as they were in years past, but still a big deal. And then they freaking beat the Ravens on the road. Like they embarrassed them in Baltimore. So you better believe that there was major movement on somebody like Ryan Tannehill's rookie cards. And not just him, like I'm sure Derrick Henry's cards probably saw a huge spike. So if you're looking for like a good percentage ROI on guys who you think are undervalued, or teams who you think are undervalued, it's not a bad idea to throw some money at maybe some lower ranked playoff teams. So we're kind of in the home stretch of the regular season right now, so it's not a bad idea to look at who can be a wild card team in either conference, who you think can actually make a run to. They don't have to make the Super Bowl, but if they beat like a 2 seed or something and they're heavy underdogs, it's not a bad idea to look at those types of guys. And I even looked at, like, in years past, in 2018, there were 3 wildcard teams that won in the wildcard round and moved on to at least the divisional round. So even from that point, you can still profit from guys who, like, even I'm sure even because the Eagles, I can't remember who they beat. Oh, the Bears. They moved on then, and you could have bought Nick Foles' card the week before that game and sold it the week after for profit. So, there are guys who you can buy low on, who are on lowly ranked playoff teams, mainly quarterbacks, some skill position players. But there's definitely value if you're looking to make like a quick buck in the playoffs.
Is there any chance that you are looking at Jameis Winston right now at age 27? Is there any chance you want any ownership in those rookie cards?
I have 3 of them. I'm being fully transparent.
Look at that. Look at you ahead of the game. I mean, I know Taysom Hill's in there. There's been conversation from Sean Payton saying he wants to see what both of these guys look like. I mean, Jameis would make sense as the better long-term fit for what that offense tries to do, even though he's an absolute turnover machine. But if they could ever get it under control, I mean, in that offense with Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, it might, completely have a resurgence in his value. And I'm sure Jameis rookie cards are dirt cheap right now. I don't even know what they're going for, but
they're honestly, for like a Topps Chrome PSA 10, they're probably not going for more than like $50 right now, or even less. Like guys, it takes almost like $30 after fees just to grade these cards. So you're not losing like a lot of. You're not looking at a huge potential loss if you buy somebody like Jameis Winston right now.
Exactly. And if Jesse's got the card, you should have the card as well. Jesse's way ahead of the game. I'm telling you, this guy, he's the oracle. There's no doubt about it.
Is that going to be? Yeah. I don't know if Matt F. the Oracle is going to be too happy if I take that.
That's all right. It's card collecting. It's a totally different universe. So. Well, anyways, Jesse, I think we crammed in a pretty full show, despite the fact that we thought this was going to be a lot shorter, and we added a lot of stuff that wasn't on the show sheet, like the Pikachu RPA, which I'm going to find out if that is actually real or not. It sure looks like it is.
That is a beautiful fake card.
Yeah, I hope it's real. All right. Well, anyways, Jesse, we will be back. I guess we'll be back next week. And we'll hammer out some more of these questions that people have, and I'm sure we will have a much more well-aligned, well-stockpiled show, and we're just going to continue changing lives.